There's a quote that used to annoy me. How you do one thing is how you do everything. When I took inventory of my life, like recently, the last few months, I realized I wasn't doing anything at all. But anyway, before we get into the video, hello again. I am OJ. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm just going to be talking more about my life, more about my storytelling, more about my process and, the HYROX of it all, and especially this quote that I had just said literally at the top of the video. Like, I'm just going to break down how it means to me, or how it relates to me and what it means to me, and how I have really used it as a stepping stone for my life, really. How I used it to go from where I was previously to where I'm at this point, and where I would like to go for tomorrow, next week, and onwards. So I'm just going to break down. So from the start, we'll go before HYROX, and then HYROX, and I guess after HYROX. That's how I'm going to do it. So before HYROX, for me at the time before HYROX, what I was doing was, I was skipping workouts. I had every excuse under the sun why I couldn't work out. I was going to sleep late. So then that to me was a justifiable reason for why I didn't want to work out, because I was like, well, I'm tired the next morning. You should be getting your 8 hours sleep. And yes, sleep is absolutely important and absolutely something that I really should have been, investing in and making time for. But because I wasn't doing it, I was using that as an excuse not to work out. And then from there, like, one of the other things that I was also doing at the time was overthinking instead of acting. And that also ties into, like, the skipping of the workouts and all that, because I was like overthinking. I was like, okay, so I didn't sleep 8 hours. That means that I can't really go and do my best work at the gym. I didn't go to the gym today. That means that I probably look crazy with what I'm wearing. I finished late at work today. That means that I'm going to, get takeout on the way, like, back home from work, which is like, it is fine in moderation. But with the way I was just overthinking everything and sort of throwing everything into one thing and making it become bigger than it was, and not, acting and just doing, the one thing which led to the next thing, which led to the next thing. And I was just not doing anything. Like, the whole, how I was doing one thing, I was doing everything like that. I wasn't skipping workouts. I was skipping my proper bedtime, which meant that I was, skipping my proper nutrition and all that. And that also, ties into, like, how one thing that really became apparent for me was, like, how I was studying things. So, like, I'll sign up for a gym. Like, the first week I'll do amazing. I'll, commit to going at 5 o'clock. Like, the night before, I would book my 5 o'clock class. But then literally I would get up the next morning once my alarm went off at like 4:30 to get ready, and I'd be like, I was not finishing what I was studying. And, like, I'm using what is it called, my working out as an example, but there were so many things that I was starting and not finishing. Like, for example, me going to uni. Like, I started it, I left it, I walked away, and I was like, it was another thing that I was not doing well. It was another thing that, you know, because all these other things to me, I wasn't, paying attention and doing, being a good steward, to, like, things that were given to me, or things that I wanted to do. It was then, really just affecting everything around me. Also, another thing that I had noticed, like, because, I was not resting well, I was not prioritizing my nutrition, I was not prioritizing myself, like, as a whole, like, all my dreams, all my goals, all the things that I really wanted to focus on, all the things that I needed to, put my energy towards. Because I wasn't doing that, I found that, like, my energy was just, like, always, like, just dipping low. Like, I was, my God, like, low energy all the time. Like, I was always tired. I was, like I said, lacking proper nutrition, which is why, like, my mind as well was so distracted because I always had like thoughts of like all these things that I wanted to do. I always had thoughts of like, okay, when I lose this weight, then I'll do this. It was always a when I when this happens, then this would happen. When I'm at this place, then this would happen. And like honestly, for me, like I said, I was just getting tired, and I was getting so sick and so tired of myself. Like I was so over every single excuse because I was just looking at the way like I would see myself in the mirror, and like it's like I was just putting on more and more and more weight, and I was visibly becoming unhappy, and I was I was so sick of my own shit. Like I was just so over it. For me, it was like it wasn't until like I said at the end of last year and when I really started like thinking of this quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I was just realizing I was like, no, like because I was not doing the one thing right for me, which was my, working out and my exercising, because it was like my place to, like de-stress. It was my place to like let out all my energy. It was my place to like meet like-minded people. Because I always found that like whenever I would go to the gym, I'd always meet people that I felt were like, in places that I wanted to be. They were doing so well in their business, they were doing so well in their personal life. Like that's what it appeared to me. They to me had like, oh, is this mic working? It's working. Sorry. Oh my days. I am so sorry. Yeah, I was saying like to me, being in those spaces and seeing people in places or going places that I wanted to be at really was amazing. And then because I was, skipping workouts, because I was not prioritizing my sleep, I was not making that a priority, I obviously stopped surrounding myself with those people. And I'm not saying that whoever I was surrounding myself with, like either at work or whatever, weren't good for me, but they weren't like-minded in the same way. I would say they weren't like-minded in the way that I needed to be. Like how iron sharpens iron. Like you can't sharpen iron with plastic or elastic. Like that's just not how it works. So that was my iron sharpening iron moment, which by skipping I was just not giving myself that opportunity really. And as I was saying, like my shift and the turning point came at the end of last year. I was like, you know what? I will go away myself. Because at that point, whenever someone would ask, like, oh, how much do you weigh, OJ? Like, what's your weight? And I would just be like, oh, I'm 95. I knew I wasn't 95. I was maybe 97. I was maybe 98. Or probably even like, up to 100. But I was in like such denial. Like, I just thought like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, I'll get to it when I get to it. So once I went and weighed myself, I got the shock of my life. Like I said, I was 101 kilograms. And that to me was a shift. That to me was the moment where I knew I didn't want to be here. That was the heaviest that I had ever been like in my whole entire life. I knew that at that moment, I could not be here. I did not want to be there. I did not want to continue down the path that I was going at. Because I was like, if I'm like the heaviest I am, if I'm feeling like so stuck, like mentally, if I am not showing up for things, if I am having a horrible sleep pattern, like to me, it was like I felt like it was a recipe for the disaster. And I know that it sounds crazy, but with the quote of the, how you do one thing is how you do everything, it was like, I was building very, very bad habits for myself, very, very, not helpful like coping mechanisms for myself. Like I said, not sleeping, like that has horrible like adverse reactions or like affects your health in ways that like it's not good for you type of thing. Not working out, like that's just you don't need to go work out every day. You don't need to go work out like 5, 6, 7 days a week. 3 days, like get your body moving, get out, get some sunlight. So that's to me that's what I really needed to lock in with. So for me, like I said, the shift came when I was like, you know what, HYROX. That's what I want to do because it was a fitness competition that I always wanted to do. Like I just wanted to do just a fitness competition, and then HYROX sort of it just like was very interesting to me. It was similar to like what I would say I was doing at the gym when, because I'm at a functional gym, so not like a traditional gym where you do like all your compound movements. For me, with a functional gym, you have like a trainer there. It's like a class-based environment. You go there, there's someone there like leading a class. Different days will be lifting, different days will be conditioning, different days would be cardio, and like it's all mixed into one. Like, say on the lifting day, you'll have like, you'll be doing squats with a barbell. Maybe on another station, you'll be doing lunges with like kettlebells or dumbbells. So I liked the variety. Like for me, that variety worked. So, once I signed up for FitStop in November of last year, and then when December came around, that's when I made up my mind. I was like, you know what? No matter what, I will not skip a 5 a.m. workout. That is my goal. And I will take it one day at a time. I will take it 1 week at a time until, I get myself to a place where it's just like a habit. It's just like a muscle memory thing. It's just like something that just always happens. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to debate with myself about it. It's just like I know that 5 a.m. I have somewhere to be. 9 p.m. I need to go to sleep, so then I can make my 5 a.m. So that was that sort of thing. Another shift that really I found very transformative for me at the time was like while I was training for HYROX. And like for me, training for HYROX, one of the biggest things that I knew about myself was my running. I was like a decent runner. Like I could do 5K, 5 kilometer run in like under 25 minutes, and that was fine. But then for the level that HYROX required of me, like to do the 8Ks, split up over 1K, like distances 8 times with all the exercises in between, like it was an enormous thing. So for me, I used one of the the ski urge bikes as my, I would say like my machine or like my base to build my running and build up my cardio and my endurance and like get my conditioning to a place where I could just go 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 all the time, or like go 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 and still be able to push through and then like really extend my endurance and so that to me was another shift because being on that bike and pedaling, it was good because for me, I would get sore knees from running outside. I live in Darwin as well. Like, the wet season was when I started training. So back in February, I was like, I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to like protect my legs, protect my knees, my ankles, what works. And I had seen so many things of like people talking about, bike intervals or using the ski urge bikes, which is what I did. And, like I said, that was a good shift. And like to me, like I'll be honest, like one of the first workouts, it was I think I had to spend maybe 20 or 22 minutes on the bike itself before I moved on to the actual like workout with like kettlebell. I had to do like a box step up. I had to do wall balls, but I still had to do the 22-minute bike interval first before I got to that stage. And it was like the whole like mental game of like finishing what I started. Like if I do well at this bike, then I'll do well at the other exercises after. If I do well on day one of my HYROX training, then I will do well. Like I'm just going to build on that habit, and it's just going to continue and continue and continue. Like for me, like I realized that the way I showed up to one workout was like somehow, in a way, the same way I was showing up, or I would be showing up in my own like personal life. Like that's why I found like HYROX and really locking in with my fitness was like such a huge like catalyst for change in my own personal life. Like I think I was having a conversation with a friend, like this was maybe last year, maybe a year before even, and I was telling them, I was like, you know what? Actually, even my siblings, I was telling them, you know what? The energy that I give to my workouts, the energy, the way that I prioritize working out, the way that I give my all and almost like, leave nothing in the tank. If I could package that ambition, if I could package the discipline, if I could package the drive that I had or that I have now, and if I like applied it in every area of my life, like university, like relationships, friendships, like, just going out at work, I just felt that like the way my life would change. Like I just knew I had to do it, which is why like I really, that was my, um, I guess how I put my one thing, and I was doing it well at it at that point, or even now today, is the working out. And I found that like once I was really prioritizing that and showing up for that in that way, like that was really like it's really impacting my whole life. Like I kid you not, like at this point now, when I started my HYROX journey, it was like a goal to like get to the start line and finish the thing. What I did not realize was I was teaching myself to put myself first. I was teaching myself to show up for myself, which then led me to like for example, my YouTube. Like I was like, I made this channel back in 2021, and I sort of did nothing with it. It was one of those things where like I wasn't really doing nothing with other things. So why would this be important to me? Because other things were important, and it was like the same attitude that I was having with everything. And somehow, like while I was doing like my HYROX stuff, that was when like the realization. I was like, oh my gosh, like I would like to talk about it. Like I'd like to share my story. I want to like create again because I really thrive on being creative. Like whenever there's like turmoil in my life, like I like to just throw myself into being creative, whether it's like dancing or like making little videos, or make like taking photos of just the sky, anything, or writing in my journal. And just because I was already like in that space of like my working out and all that was becoming a good habit, and it was like muscle memory at that point. I just started making my videos. I just started making my little TikTok videos on like whatever I wanted to do, or whatever I wanted to just talk about, like whether it's the weather, whether it was a quote, whether it was like a Beyonce song that I was thinking of. And like the fact that I've been like consistent with, like that was like, oh my god, like it just made me realize, like come to like the realization that, like, how will I say, like for me, like my main takeaway was discipline wasn't situational. Being disciplined, I made sure it didn't depend on whether I felt great that day. It didn't matter on whether I was well that day, or I had an amazing day at work, or I was well fed. I made sure that the way I worked on my discipline, like it just had to happen. Like without thinking, like it just had to happen. It didn't matter what was going on that day. It didn't matter how I felt. Like for me, it was all about like showing up. Like do it sad, do it mad, do it angry. Like for me, as long as I did it, whether it was working out, whether it was my journaling, whether it was just like any area in my life, I was pushing myself, and that was like my realization. And then also like my effort had to be intentional. Like I couldn't just like say, if I'm doing like a 30-minute workout, right? Like for when I was doing like my HYROX training and all that, like I had to like really understand that, okay, the way that I would train for like a speed session will be different for the way I would train for an endurance session. The way I would train when I'm doing my wall balls, like in order to, ensure that I did not injure myself, like I had to make sure, like say my effort was mainly focused on like my form and the way I was catching the ball and the way I was throwing the ball, which meant, I had to like, okay, I'll do less weight. Like that sort of a thing is what I'm saying. Like I made sure that my effort wasn't selective. And then like from that, doing all those little things, like I said, HYROX being my catalyst, like that's when like like I said, I mentioned that the consistency started bleeding in. Like it started bleeding in into like me making YouTube videos. It started bleeding into me making my TikToks. It started bleeding into even like me showing up to work early. Not that I would show up to work late, but I was one of those people, like say, if you started at 7, I'd be coming in maybe like 6:10, 6:55, which you're still early. But then for me, like it was always a rush. Like my mind was always like very discombobulated. It was very scattered because I was just rushing and I was freaking out. And then I realized I was forgetting stuff. Like I'd forget socks because I like to like um have something casual to drive to work with, and then once I get to work, I change into like my work clothes. After work, I have something casual to like drive home with, say in case I need to stop for fuel, in case I need to stop at the shop. Like that was it for me. Like really prioritizing, my how my I do my one thing was how I was doing everything. Like my consistency was then slowly bleeding into everything. And like I even noticed like with my relationships as well, like with my friends, with my family, like I felt becoming better as in I was taking the time to listen to them. I was taking the time to really make the effort to like be there for them. Like if they wanted to do something, I didn't have an issue with like, I guess, inconveniencing myself sometimes. But the only thing was like, say, if we were going out for dinner midweek or something, I knew that I had to be in bed by 9. So it'll be like, I'll come for a bit, but then I would leave at maybe 8, 8:30. Like, it was like that consistency. Like I was being very consistent versus before it's like, no, I can't come. I have to sleep because I'm going to the gym at 5 in the morning. Guess what? I didn't show up for my friends. I didn't even show up for the gym the next day. Like it was just a whole thing, you know? And for me, like I said, that's just like, oh God, I am so amazed and I am so happy with the changes that I have made and the changes that I am continuing to see and continuing to make, as you know, as my life goes on, as things happen, like I'm so excited for my future. And I really, really hope that for those who are listening, for those who are watching, I hope that you take away that, how you do your one thing is how you do everything. And even like the smallest thing, it doesn't matter what it is or how you do it, like it really matters. Like for me, like I said, like it was my fitness, but even things like making my bed, like, oh my God, like it is, just a great reminder for me, for everyone, for whoever's watching. It's just a great reminder to, just do your best. And your best, you know, eventually, how you do your one thing eventually leads to like so many great things with life. You will achieve more than you really bargained for. And I feel like that's where I am right now. Like I'm really not at the end of most of my goals, but the goals that I had put on the back burner for so long, I have just, it's like randomly, but it's not random. I just picked it up. I just started moving with them, and like here we are. Well, that is this brings us to the end of my video. It's just a little short thing that I really wanted to like get off my chest, something that I really wanted to share with you all. I hope that you take something positive from this video. I hope that you feel encouraged, and I hope that you just do your best in everything. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Leave a comment if you want to. If you have any pointers for how you could, um, I guess, help me get better or help me make better videos, or just with how I construct my videos, if you will. Please let me know. Please be kind as well. But most of all, please have an amazing day. I love you all. God bless. And I will see you all another time. Thank you.